am Tam.
And I'm Eternally Mortal.
And this is the Hidden Egg Podcast, where we talk about vulnerability. And this season, we're doing it while watching things. If you want to join us, then you can go to our Discord. I'll put the link in the description. And we do it live every Thursday, somewhere between 5 and 9
maybe like
Eastern.
4th. Yeah.
I do everything with Eastern.
Eastern's fine. I mean, you know, yeah. we should do Greenwich Mean Time every time.
I can't do that kind of math. That's just too much, man.
You just to be a pain, make everyone do the math constantly. That sounds fun.
Okay, so today we're going to do Sex Education, episode 1.
Yep, we've been kind of doing a little bit since we're just starting season 2. I mean, season 2 of our podcast, not season 2 of any particular show. We're just kind of bouncing around and seeing what we like and what anybody in the audience that's interested likes. And so we felt like this was a nice little midpoint in a certain way between Black Mirror and The Irregular at Magic High School, which is the first 2 episodes of season 2 of The Hidden Egg. So I think that it'll be fun. And also I wanted to discuss, because I've listened now to the first 2 episodes, and it's a little hard to determine when the breaks are. Like, we've been pretty good about saying a timestamp as soon as we come back for the most part, but there are sometimes it's difficult to tell.
You've been pretty good at that. I am terrible at that.
You've done it a couple times.
That has not really been me. Usually because you asked me to do it. It's not usually because I had the thought to do it. Let's be fair.
Okay, whatever. It don't matter to me. Anyway, the point is that it's been a little bit difficult to determine necessarily where the breaks are between points. So I have a really silly idea. There's probably a professional way to do that. Maybe that would probably take editing to put in this noise. But since we're not, go ahead. What do you have?
Well, I mean, there's the chapter thing, and I hadn't done that before with our things because I'm lazy, but I stopped doing the articles every freaking episode, which means there's probably fewer people that are actually listening to us now, but we'll work that out. Anyway, so the effort that I'm not spending on writing a full-ass article for it, now maybe I can spend on doing chapters, which might make that easier. That doesn't make it doesn't make the transition better, so I do think we should probably do something while we're recording it to be this is the end of this section or something like that, but...
Yeah, actually, what I was thinking about doing, the silly thing I was thinking about doing, so we don't have to edit anything, is doing a silly noise, literally at the end, right before we pause, and at the beginning, right after we unpause. Does that make sense?
That sounds like a lot.
No. It's totally easy. What it means is that I'm gonna make a noise, something like a boop, just something silly like that, and.
It seems jarring.
I won't make that noise until I'm pretty sure we're done talking, okay? And then when I make that noise, then you hit pause. And it doesn't have to be I have to get it quick. Just, after I make that noise, we won't speak until you hit pause.
Okay, counter offer. Maybe we need to eventually, maybe not this time, but maybe we need to eventually have a little how there's little toys that make noises? We could do that in front of
Why do you hate my noises?
What?
Why do you hate my noise?
It's not that I hate your noise.
I love my noise.
Oh, okay. I just thought it would be cute to have a little mascot for the show that does the little noise.
That would be cute. If we can find something that makes a cute enough noise, I'm totally down for that. Absolutely.
Until then, do your noises. It's fine.
It'll be different noise every time. It'll be some variation of a boop or doot in a high-pitched, kind of penetrating, loud voice.
Sure, but you got to stop doing it while we're still doing the
I understand.
section, because it's going to get really confusing for people.
Well, no, we're still talking about how to figure it out. It'll be fine once we get going. I swear. But anyway, yeah. So. After I make that noise, we can't speak until you hit pause, and then once you unpause, that has to be the first noise that happens before we start speaking. We got this, though.
Why does it have to be the first noise?
Because it'll really make it obvious. Because basically what that means is that the listener is going to hear those 2 noises back to back, and then know that time has passed since the last time we were talking. And it is a little jarring, but it's on purpose so that way it doesn't feel like a conversation isn't. Oh God, how do I explain that? It's not like hearing us talk about Black Mirror. There was like a 5-minute gap, like 5 minutes passed in the show, and it took me several words to figure out that time had passed, and I was there. So like,
Right.
your average listener, I think it will help continuity and be able
Yeah,
to
but why
hear
do
it.
we need two? Like you're saying to do one when we pause it, which is one, but then you're also saying when we come back doing a second one.
Because having the two makes it, if we forget something, then it'll be obvious that we've forgotten something. It is a comfort sound, so that to make sure that it is the same every time.
You want that second one for us as a trigger to remember to do other things.
No, I want the second one for the listener so that they know if they only hear one, then we forgot something somewhere, and to be a little aware of what's going on, a little more aware of what's going on. The second one is for
why are you giving our listeners jobs like that? Like,
because I believe in them.
Yeah, but we're not paying them anything, so
No, absolutely. But and nobody has to do anything, but if they wanna. I'm just trying to make it easier. I'm actually trying to make it so they have to do less. Like, they don't have to think about it as hard. Because I know I like to just zone out for shit.
Well, we'll do the 2 thing and see how that goes. I still kind of feel like...
I haven't heard a great argument against it yet, if I'm being honest.
Because you only really need one,
That's not really an argument
against it.
Do
your message after the beep.
That means that your argument is just that it's not the most efficient. And I don't like that.
Well, I'm trying to think about, like, when I'm listening to it, then I hear a beep, and then I hear a second beep, and it's like, what is this, a hearing test?
But it's good.
Over time, that's to me, from my personal perspective, that's gonna get annoying, I think.
Well, it's gonna be beeps pretty close together. It's gonna be like a beep beep.
It doesn't matter.
And then it's done.
It's still like...
It's not going to be so annoying. I think it's going to be very helpful.
Maybe.
But we'll see.
You could be right. You could be right. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying what I think is going to happen, and I could be completely wrong about that.
We'll see.
We will see.
It will be delightful, though, and I'm going to do it. If you don't have a strong argument against it.
I don't have a strong argument against it. I just have I think that this is going to be an annoying argument.
I love it.
That doesn't mean that we shouldn't try it. We should definitely try it.
I love it.
If I get annoyed, then I'll be like, see, I was right. I'm annoyed.
Perfect. I love it. So, we're going to watch the first episode of Sex Education.
Yeah, 5 minutes of arguing about the beep, and I think we are ready.
I'm so glad we decided to put that one into the episode.
Me too.
That was delightful.
It was.
Okay, so we ready?
I believe so.
Boop. Boop. All right, we're back. Hello. Hi. Okay, we're about... Well, you can do timestamp. Give me the timestamp. We're about 2 minutes in. This is a 53-minute episode, so we potentially are going to be stopping a little bit less frequently than we usually do, but we'll see. We've had the first scene, which is 2 characters fucking. That's what we've seen so far.
Yeah, there's already been blatant nudity in the first 2 minutes. This is not your average show, so, keep that in mind.
Yeah, this is definitely, not for children, 100%. Probably should have said at the beginning of the episode. Good on us. Well done. But the program itself has a rating, so follow your ratings always.
I mean, it's fine. I'm gonna check the box on explicit for this one, so...
Hell yeah.
I did that for the first episode of Black Mirror, too.
Good. Excellent. I love that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So anyway, we can tell now that there's a couple that are fucking, and that there is some sort of sexual issue going on between them, because the male in the scenario did not seem capable of orgasm.
Well, he seemed very disinterested the whole time.
Well, we don't want to... we know this show.
Yeah, I know, but, from what it shows, he seemed disinterested.
Oh, yeah, his face did show very much that he was kind of just, not enjoying the experience,
Like,
and
she
then
even
he
talked to him and he didn't answer because he was like away somewhere else.
yeah, thinking about other shit. And then he seemed like he was trying really hard to be able to come before she came orgasmed, and he was unsuccessful. And it's the second piece of media I've ever seen in my life that I'm aware of where a dude fakes an orgasm and then gets called out immediately for doing so. In fact, 100% of the times in media I've seen a dude fake an orgasm, he immediately gets called out for it.
You know, that is a point I'd like to talk about because, like, first off, I don't think that we should be shaming people for faking an orgasm. Like,
No,
if
not at
they
all.
feel uncomfortable, not talking about their issues that makes it difficult for them to orgasm, then maybe that should be okay. Like, maybe don't. The way the girl in this show called that out seemed a little bit like not caring.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to necessarily come down hard on her either because, like, in the middle of sex, your emotions are heightened to a
Yeah,
large
it's very
degree.
vulnerable.
And yeah, you're very vulnerable. And so, like, when you have something that seems off or weird to you, then it's going to cause a great deal of distress because you're open. You're so vulnerable
Right.
at that moment. And so, like, I don't hate her for how she reacted to it, but it is clear that these two are struggling.
But I will say that I do think I don't like the idea of faking orgasm for anybody. I don't care what your gender is. I don't like the idea of it. I'm not saying that it's bad to do. I don't like the idea of it because it means that you don't trust the person that you're having sex with to be able to be honest. And in my view, why are you having sex with somebody that you don't trust? Period.
Right, and that's pretty understandable view for a lot of people. I don't kink shame those that only want to sleep with people that
That's
they don't
true.
trust. You do your thing. Please
I'm
be
not,
safe.
My opinions are only for me.
Right.
I'm not saying that it means anything about anybody. I just personally would not have sex with somebody that I didn't trust enough to tell them, hey, I'm just not feeling it.
Right.
That being said, I understand because full disclosure, I've had sexual dysfunction and difficulties orgasming.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand wanting to fake it, and sometimes even if you're not really faking it but you're like just playing it up, like I get that too. I've been there.
Yeah, and sometimes this show is sex education. If we go deep into this show, then we're going to talk a lot about sexual vulnerability, and that's a very very big topic for a lot of people. I mean, there's a growing number of ace people out there, of asexual people out there, and that would not matter so much to them, but it might be interesting to see what the other side learns from their perspective. But there's a lot of people out there that have a really hard time with sex. A really hard time with sex.
It's difficult, man.
It really is, and
The older you get, sometimes it gets harder, like, and not in a good way.
sometimes it's people that don't find any sort of sexual freedom or expression until they are older, until they're in their 70s and stuff
Right.
like that, because like people care less about getting diseases and stuff when you're like 75.
Oh yeah, and then you get a whole bunch of them because nobody uses condoms because you can't get pregnant.
Right, exactly. And then you have nursing homes that run through
Yeah.
fucking STDs.
Anyway, so we're going off topic.
Yeah.
I thought that it was good to address that beginning because you're right. It's not super common for people to, or for any media really, to address that sometimes men might fake an orgasm too.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult because they get immediately called out for it because where's the spunk?
Right. And I don't know. You're right. We didn't really talk about that aspect at all, but it's like, it's part of the what do they call it? The masculine dominated society. What do they call it?
Patriarchy?
Yeah, the patriarchy. The idea that men need to be manly. If a man is fucking, he better be coming.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't know shit about shit. Like, there's a few dudes out there that actually know what tantra is that are like, yeah, no, bro, you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and I will say that there is a toxic. It's there's like this overlap of toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, where like if in their kind of relationship, the woman may be suffering from that toxic feminine perspective of like, I need to please the man, and if I don't, then society thinks that there's something wrong with me, and take that and turn it into the toxic masculinity of, you're not man enough to handle me because of the insecurity, and it causes a really abusive situation. I've heard of a lot of men going through that scenario where they're having difficulties. They needed somebody to be understanding and loving, and to just let it be what it is for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And instead they got met with, well, you're not man enough.
Yep, exactly. And it's just this untenable idea of what someone needs to be, and it's like, just let people be who they are.
Right.
So as I said, we're probably gonna not pause as often as we have been in the past, because it's a 50-minute episode and we're already 15 minutes into our podcast, and who knows, maybe this will be a super long episode, but we're not shooting for that currently.
Right.
So we're gonna go ahead and pause now. Anything else you want to say?
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. Boop. Boop. Alright, we're back. Hello. 5 minutes and 30 seconds into this show, we again find a moment that is just very comment worthy, because we met Mom.
Well, we met Otis.
Who is pretending to
masturbate. Like setting it up to where it looks like he did, but he didn't.
Creating a diorama of a scene of where a teenager has masturbated.
And then his mother's flavor of the day or week or whatever pops into his bedroom trying to go to the bathroom. So then we get this obvious like exposition that this is not abnormal. This happens a lot. Otis isn't surprised at all.
No.
And I think he lies about being left-handed.
Possibly. It's a possibility. But he didn't jerk off, so it's kind of...
It doesn't really matter.
Although, I'll be honest, I had a bit of a, like, grumble moment there, because it's like, yeah, sure, I get that germs are a thing, but I'm pretty sure that the whole dude being concerned that he just touched a hand that just touched a penis is homophobic and not...
Well, it's toxic masculinity in... It can be homophobic, but it can also be a part of that idea that men are unhygienic and don't wash their penises well enough.
Yeah. Either way, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of that at all. But it kind of made it better because Otis's best friend, who I forgot his name already, because I don't think we've heard it.
I forgot his name too. I don't think
we've heard it.
I don't think we've heard it yet.
But immediately was like, your mom's new boyfriend is so hot, basically. And I'm like, you're so right. Because leather pants, like, it was pretty hot. And motorcycle, it was pretty hot. And Otis's best friend was able to call that out in a way that was kind of satisfying to me. So I like that. But Otis's mom, Jean.
Oh my god, she's so hot.
Fucking...
Yeah, we both were just like, fucking yes.
Scully. Like, how do you beat
Jeez.
old hot sex guru Scully?
Like, she is just aging like the best of wines.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting dynamics already going on, and I mean, we've watched this before, both of us individually, so we know kind of where it's going, but it's still...
So the reason why I wanted to pause, though, is because we get a brief look at Jean's work life as
yes.
She apparently treats...
How's your penis working out for you?
She apparently treats patients at her home and she's a sex therapist, and so it's a couple that has come in, and Otis lets us know, as he should definitely not know this information.
No, he should not know this information.
That the husband wants the wife to wear a strap-on. That's the information we're given, and then we see them sitting, and then we see Jean, and she looks up and says, "So, Dorothy," or whatever the fuck the woman's name is, "how are you getting on with your penis?" And we see them, the couple, and the woman, Dorothy or whatever the fuck, looks at Jean and says, "I don't hate it."
I'm not hating it.
And it's like, oh, wow.
It's a little like it touches a very, very tiny bit on the idea that, maybe there's some trans, patients that she has that she also works with in a similar vein.
Sure, but this is obviously this woman
Yeah,
working with her
she
strap
works
on,
with
but like,
well, she works with the sexual side of that, so like
yeah.
it wouldn't be.
But like, it's the understanding that brought to me that it was interesting was that this is a couple. This is two
It
people
just
that are
look
married,
normal people.
that have been, it looks like, married for probably like a decade or more, give or take, and they're going to a professional to try and make their sex life not be what it has been, to be better than what it has been.
Right.
And it's just it's an interesting look at people that are trying, that are struggling but trying to get better, and I like it. But at the same time, they don't look like they're really enjoying the process of getting better. So,
Right. I actually really like the whole concept of the sex education show because it hopefully helps to destigmatize a little bit the idea that it's okay to go talk to somebody about your sexual issues as
right.
a couple or as a as
an
single
individual
person.
yeah,
Like, it's fine. Yeah.
absolutely. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Boop boop. Okay.
Oh, it did count it.
It did catch it.
Show it.
Yeah. 12 minutes in. 12 minutes into episode 1. So 40 minutes to go.
I know. So we've already gone through a little bit of potential asexuality shaming.
Yeah, because of Otis's difficulties with apparently masturbation.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right when he has sexual responses to things, and so but his friend's like, no, that's weird. So.
Yeah. I mean, but we can look at it when there's like all kinds of bad things all over the place, like there's rumors happening about everybody and slut shaming all over the place, people just being toxic.
High school, man.
And it's like, if it is kind of is high school, it's definitely at least media high school, like no doubt. So it's difficult really to call it all out, but it's not great. I mean, hopefully we see things like this and we're able just to notice that that's how they're treating each other and know that that's not the way to treat people in real life.
Right. Well, he's not trying to be like asexual phobic. I don't know if that's a thing, but like but it does come across like, oh, well, if you have, like, it's weird if you can't have a boner, then, you're broken. Like, he's kind of treating it that way. And he comes at it from, like, a worrying perspective. Like, there's good behind it. It's just not...
He's also making fun of him.
Yeah, he's also making fun of him.
The phrase, at least I can touch my own dick, was used.
Which I felt was kind of low.
Was kind of a low blow, but the next immediate line was, I'm worried about you, bro. So, like, there's concern there, and I get that, and it's sweet, but a bunch of the millennials, the older millennials, the younger Gen X, we all grew up in families that, like, just being an asshole to each other was the norm.
That's what you did.
That you were just expected to be an asshole to everybody, and when you weren't, you were being an asshole by making everyone else feel bad.
Right. And then the place where we paused, actually, is where our generation drew the line between actual bullying, which, let's be fair, it was still bullying to make fun of Otis's inability to get it or to do anything with his penis. Yeah. That was still bullying. Yeah. But our generation drew the line at what we considered quote unquote actual bullying
or physical bullying
from, just being an asshole, and that being an acceptable thing.
Right. Busting each other's chops and shit.
Right. And now we see Eric, that's the friend's name. Gets bullied by, what was his name? I don't remember his name now.
He just said it too.
They just said it.
Well, anybody watching along with us knows the bully character that is there. This is also the same character that was fucking the girl in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And it's super aggro, like, just treating Eric like an absolute worthless piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, someone that only exists to benefit the bully.
Yeah.
And just to be a little transparent here, I adore Eric so much.
So much. He's
Like,
so precious.
He
does bad things sometimes, but
he's got such an appreciation for certain things. He gets super. He just loves certain things so much. He doesn't require love from certain things, to be honest. Like, there was a moment when he was looking at the other gay person in their year or whatever, and was like appreciating how hot they looked, and that person was then an asshole. Anwar, I think is his name.
Yeah, I think Anwar was his name.
And then Anwar was an asshole to Eric. And Eric was like, "Did you hear him speak to me with words and everything?
Words and everything."
Oh my god, that was so cute, and I fucking loved it. I adored it so much. And like, this interaction between Eric and the bully.
Yeah, it really sets you up to really enjoy Eric's presence. Despite the fact that he was just making fun of Otis, you see him being bullied and you're like, oh, well, that little bit that he's doing to Otis is nothing by comparison.
Adam.
Yeah, that's the bully's name, Adam.
Okay, good. Here. So, this interaction is so, if you look at it, if you really look at this interaction, it's so deep because, like, it's so practiced from both parties. Eric is, like, knew it was coming, but was still surprised.
By it because it's jarring, because it's traumatic.
And Adam does that on purpose, makes it a jarring experience, waits until Eric is probably feeling good before he does it, and then gets everything from Eric. And even there's some sort of, like, I don't know what a fucking bully woolly or twirly whirly or whatever the fuck they were talking about.
Whirly?
Yeah, some sort of dessert, I guess. That
I think it's something like a Tootsie Roll, but not.
Eric didn't immediately hand over. He actually, like, gave some pushback. He was like, "Bro, not my curly whirly." And then Adam got right in his face and was like, "If you don't give that to me, I'm gonna break your face." And you can see that, like, Adam needs this reaction from Eric. This is something necessary for Adam's mental state of being.
Well, and then I don't know if you noticed this, but, like, he takes that curly whirly thing, like, crunches it up in his hand into a little, like,
it looked like a turd.
It looked like a turd,
a piece of shit,
or like an anal plug or something, and, like, pops it into his mouth and just swallows it whole.
Yeah, and
in front of him right before he leaves.
Like intentionally being like, I'm not even going to enjoy this.
Right.
This thing that you probably would enjoy and get pleasure and happiness from, I'm not even going to find pleasure with. I'm going to consume it without pleasure to make you feel bad. And it's fucking, like, terrible and genius and...
Well, I believe that there's more to that because it's sort of a little bit foreshadowing things that happen later.
Oh, no, you can't say shit like that. But yeah, I know you gotta not say shit like that because, like, there's so much that happens in the future with all of these characters, and I want to allude to everything, but, like,
I know, right?
We're trying to experience it as we're experiencing it, you know. And I do okay with this usually, but we'll see how it goes. Anything else you want to say?
No, I think we've covered most of it. Yeah.
All right. Boop, boop.
Okay.
25 minutes and 15 seconds in.
Jesus Christ.
Like, I don't even remember what we talked about last, if I'm being honest. But, like, what we came back in on, what we're at right now, was Adam going over to Otis's house, finding all the sex stuff that Jean has because of her job.
Otis tried so hard to hide all of the weird sex shit, and Adam found it anyway. Just meandering through the house like he owned the goddamn place.
Yeah, he got bored. Like, when he came into the house and he said, "I'm bored already," that was a warning.
Yeah.
You gotta not only do the project, but also entertain Adam.
Mm-hmm.
I've been there,
Too.
I've done that shit before. But yeah, Adam found it, and while confronting Otis about the weird sex toys he found.
Weird sex dungeon, that's what he called it.
Yeah, you have a sex dungeon. Mom came home, Jean came home, and immediately what we're treated to is Adam and Jean smoking the rest of Adam's
No, they were lighting
joint.
it.
They're still smoking. Well, he'd been smoking it while pissing,
Oh,
and he
right.
probably just put it out, and then they
Yeah,
relit it
maybe.
because that's what people do with joints. I haven't done joints in a long time, but anyway, and they're both just having so much fun. In fact, Adam's face shows so much joy in that scene. Like, my God, you see him smoking with Gene, and he's just got the biggest smile on his face. It's touching his eyes.
Yeah, and it's such a big happy smile that from the juxtaposition of the earlier scenes that we've seen him in, it almost feels a little bit like, why are you so happy about this moment? Like, I don't know, that you almost kind of feel like, do you deserve to be this happy?
Right. He's almost had this whole energy the whole time of wanting to be antagonistic to the people he's interacted with.
Or just being disinterested in interacting with them.
Right, and to be left alone.
Right.
But for some reason, him doing what he knows is
It's illegal over there.
right. It's not the right thing to do, quote unquote.
Right.
It's the illegal
Delinquent.
or rebellious or delinquent thing to do, and an adult that's totally not only okay with him doing it, but is willing to do it with him, makes him feel so happy.
That he just learned this secret about this, that she's a sex therapist. All this weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although, and I love Jean so much because after smoking the good pot, goes and gets some chips.
She's so like me, right?
I know, right? But she comes out and she's like, "Hey, just to let you know, it's something that I've noticed in some of my patients that when people your age get high a lot, it could sometimes lead to like early onset impotence." And dude's like, "Why would you think I would have a problem with that?"
He gets super defensive.
Yeah, why would you think I would have a problem with that? And she's like, I didn't say
you had
anything
a
about you having a problem with
Yeah.
that. And like kind of does the whole looking down her nose thing at him, like.
And then she's like, but if you want to talk about it, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna go now.
Yep, completely freaked him out to the point where he had to leave, which is not great for Otis because this dude seems like the type that if you make him uncomfortable, he will make your life hell for months.
Yeah, or forever, like
or forever.
For your entire school days.
For as long as you
over.
interact with him, you're just his slave now because he's going to abuse you into it, as he is currently doing with Eric, it seems like. Because it seems like he's eating Eric's lunch every day, taking whatever money Eric has on him every day.
And shoving him up against lockers every day.
Right. There must be some times where he's actually beat the shit out of Eric. It must have happened.
Oh, there was a moment. There was a moment with the girl that we saw in the very beginning that was having sex with Adam. That she was saying that he is really sweet at times. Like he can be really sweet when
no one's looking.
When no one's looking. And that to me, and maybe she might be right. I'm sure. Like everybody's just people, right? Everybody's just people. The worst of people underneath are still people inside.
You're right.
Let's start out there. But it's pretty clear. I don't feel like this is jumping the gun on saying this. Adam's an abuser.
Oh yes. Adam,
and that is absolutely what abusers are like. They are sweet at first. They are sweet, especially when you get them alone.
Yeah. And I don't know, there's something, it's probably because I know more about the show, but like even in these moments when I first saw it the first time, I really felt like he was abused into being an abuser. And maybe everyone's abused into being an abuser, but like, I could tell early on that this person had a interesting story behind him.
I don't have any data to support this, but I believe from my experience and my research that most people that are abusers were abused into it.
Sure. Okay.
I do think, though, that if we looked back far enough, if we could just watch the lives of every single person that has ever lived on this planet, I believe that we would find the root of abuse would be in sociopaths. Clinical sociopaths, like people who literally could not tell right from wrong and did the things that they did because they didn't realize they could not empathize with another person to know what it felt like.
They don't recognize other humans as being the same thing as them.
So I personally believe that the source of all abuse is from clinical sociopaths. However, most of the people who are abusive are not. They were abused, and that's all they know how to interact with people.
They're just still hurting and lashing out.
It's not an excuse.
No.
And it's not a justification for them
No.
to continue doing it.
If you're you likely you are or have been abusing somebody, maybe try. I don't know. I don't want to give out advice like that, but like it's difficult to.
Well, like I've been an abuser, so I can say like I was abused emotionally, and so I emotionally abused other people, and it takes a lot to come to terms with the victimhood of it to then see that you are actually like making new victims. Like those are both separate things that are both really difficult to do. And I would say if you're out there and you feel like you have been abused, really ask yourself if you are accidentally, unknowingly carrying that forward. That's what I would give as any sort of advice or suggestion. Just think about it. Just consider that maybe it's possible, because that is where I think we can maybe make a difference and stop it continuing, stop it perpetuating.
Right. Anything else?
No, I think we're good on that one.
Okay. Boop. Boop.
Okay, we are 27:20 into this, and I have to say a thing. So Otis's mom, Jean, just confronted him about setting up the scenario of pretending to masturbate for her to see, to believe that he's masturbating. And he clearly didn't want to talk about it. And he said something about, not bringing this kind of thing up, or, to stop doing this. And she said something to the effect of, I will when you stop creating things that you clearly want me to observe. And it really boggles my mind that she could be a therapist. And I know these are fictional people, but like seriously, these people do exist, and not realize that if he is pretending, like if he's creating this scenario that he wants her to believe, he's clearly not ready to talk about it. And it is not okay to just confront somebody and push them in that scenario when it's very, like, it's just clinically clear that he wants her to believe that everything's fine. And while I accept that as a parent, you have to like kind of look at it and be like, well, things really aren't fine. You also have to look at it, whether a parent or a therapist, as people need to feel safe to come to you to talk about it.
Right. Because 90% of helping somebody is waiting for them to approach you to ask.
And then just listening.
And yeah, and listening. And maybe there's other action you can take if they would need something from you personally, but you have to wait. And for teenage kids specifically, there is such an important element from their perspective of being trusted, of being seen as responsible enough to take care of themselves. And I know that teenagers do a lot of dumb things that get them into a lot of trouble, and that parents have historically worked hard to make rules and enforce rules that help teenagers not get in trouble. But I think it's wrong. I think it's incorrect. And I think that what we actually are supposed to be doing is to trust the teenagers and then help them get out of the explosions that they cause.
Well, I disagree fundamentally there, because I think that that we need to set up sandboxes for them to make their poor decisions in a safe place, where they're not going to make those decisions that will actually impact them for life. So, I mean, we agree, I think, on that they should be allowed to find things out on their own to some degree, but I don't think that we should just trust them willy-nilly to get there on their own. Like, there should be some guidance, I think. And I think that that's healthy. But this is not guidance. This is her surgically going in and trying to remove what she believes is a problem, which may not actually be a problem, but a preference that he has, that he maybe never becomes sexual it's okay for him to be asexual, but because she's a sex therapist, she can't imagine it being okay for somebody to just be asexual and let that unfold as it does.
Right, absolutely. And I originally saw this situation where he was planting the evidence of masturbation to. I originally saw it as him trying to, you know, convince his mom that he's masturbating so that he could buy time to not have to talk about it while he tries to work out whatever the fuck is going on with him
Right.
on his own.
Seems obvious.
I no longer think that's the case.
Oh?
I now think that what he wanted was for her to never notice that it happened. And that this is a test of her knowing who she is, that her bringing it up is evidence of her failing the test. And she's like, you're putting this performative thing together for me to find, obviously. And I want to look at her and be like, no, he wants you to never
Look the
notice.
other way.
He wants you to never notice that it happened.
Or even if you did notice, to just give him the space to not bring it up.
Yeah, basically. It's a trust thing again.
Yeah.
But like,
I think
but
it
yeah,
can be both of those things.
Probably, yeah. But like, I want him to find the words to tell her that. Because that, I think, would
that's so
heal
hard for
their
teenagers.
I think that would heal this relationship, because she genuinely doesn't actually yet understand what she's doing wrong.
Yeah, she genuinely thinks she's doing the right thing, and she doesn't understand why it's not working.
And I can tell from Otis's perspective, and maybe I'm reading into it too much, maybe I'm mirroring, but like, I can tell from what it looks like to me from Otis's perspective is that he is frustrated that he can't find the words to explain what is wrong to her.
I think it's more than that, because I think that he's frustrated feeling like he's broken already, and that everything that she does reinforces that brokenness, while she's also constantly trying to make it known that like it's okay to be yourself, and like it's all natural, like, and all that, but he feels broken in that environment where it's so accepting in so many ways that like it feels weird to still be able to feel so wrong. And that's a crazy place to be. And I think that is a big source of his frustration, in that like, if everything's okay, like if it's okay for me to just be me, then why do I feel so broken being where I'm at right now?
Right. And that's the hardest thing to fucking deal with as a human. It's like, yeah, you can feel like absolute utter shit, like everything is wrong and terrible, and it's okay to be there.
And I think he's mad at her, very rightfully so, because she's sending these mixed messages.
Yeah.
Of it's okay for you to be who you are. It's okay. Let's just, radical acceptance. But here's these things that you're doing wrong that are definitely worrisome that I want to fix.
Yeah.
And those two things are different.
I think that there's, I don't want to make judgments, or wild accusations or generalities, but like, I think there's actually a lot of therapists that have the intelligence to be able to perceive what we're doing and why we're doing it, but they're still just flighty humans themselves,
Yeah.
And so like, some of it they don't apply it to themselves, or some of it they don't apply to it each other in ways that make it logical, and so it's just they have the same foibles as the rest of us, same selfishnesses.
Because we're all human, man.
Hell yeah, we are. Okay, ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
Boop. Boop. Okay, so we are... How far are we? 33:25 roughly.
30, somewhere around there.
They're in class with the SRE class, apparently about sexually transmitted diseases.
I wish every school had a class that did this.
I never did anything like this at all.
I never did either, and I think that is part of the problem.
I do too.
But they had a plastic
dick
penis, and were clearly tasked with, they didn't actually say it, they just started showing Otis trying to take this condom and put it on the plastic penis, and he was having so much difficulty.
Oh my god, the actor
Oh my
fucking
god.
killed it.
Yeah.
That was beautiful the way the actor portrayed that specific difficulty. Just the lightest touch. I know you can't see me, but the lightest touch of that, right on top of the tip, and it like bloop, it just sat there perfectly, and he's like, oh, okay, and then he's like, reach over and try and touch it just a little bit, the four fingers just barely touching at the four cardinal directions of the condom, and slight roll down, and
he
just
tried
drip
really
away.
hard to move it down, and he went, nope, okay,
Nope,
okay.
yep.
But then like he kept trying to come back to it, and Maeve eventually was like, oh my god, and just like boom, and then done, and then moved it aside.
And I don't think I noticed. I didn't look at Otis, but I wonder if when she slammed it down, if he reacted to that. Because I don't know. He's having trouble with his penis, with masturbation, and with
genitalia in general, and sexuality in general,
being aroused and having a hard on and stuff like that. But like, it is clear that he feels something for Maeve. He has given her like 17 looks so far. You know, like it's pretty clear that there's some sort of an attraction or
interest.
Fear, at least.
There's an interest. There's a curiosity. I don't know if I could call that attraction, because he doesn't seem to have attraction to anyone in particular, but there's an interest of like curiosity of who she really is, and like why she's so mean.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, and we also got okay, what else have we seen? We saw fucking Adam is the headmaster's son.
Yeah.
And the headmaster is a very stern man.
Very strict man.
You are 5 minutes past curfew. You do not get your phone until the morning. Yeah. Sort of strict. And obviously,
it didn't like. It's worth noting that the way that Adam tried to go into the house, he was really sneaky, and he was very quiet, and he did really well in getting into the house. And then the dog barked once.
Yes.
Moderately quietly, and the headmaster knew immediately what was going on.
Yep.
That's a really subtle thing. It's a really subtle way of showing how abusive this situation is without having any actual abuse.
Right, because that means that the headmaster controls his environment ultimately and completely.
Not just that, but that the headmaster is so controlling as to be vigilant enough that a single kind of muffled, it wasn't a very loud bark, this was a small dog, a single bark, just a little yip of excitement, clued him in to what was going on.
Yeah, and two things about that. One, like you're saying, the headmaster is great, is being very strict. That means with one tiny little change in his routine, he's able to know what's going on. That means that his wife and his son have to live completely by his rules, the way he wants it, and that's a very abusive thing. That's definitely taking away the autonomy of these two people, and it's disgusting and abhorrent. This was actually one of the moments that, because I like the character of Adam, if I'm being honest, but I know more of the show, of course, than what we've revealed so far.
I didn't like him in this episode. Like it takes a while.
But this moment is one of the moments that started me on that path, because the dog barked, and as soon as the dog barked, Adam knew what that meant for him.
His face fell.
And he looked at the dog and he was like, "Shit!" And then he not assault the dog.
Yeah, he pet the dog as if to say, "I know you were just being you. It wasn't your fault."
Right. It was a kindness and empathy shown to that dog, and I appreciate that from humans.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance in this show.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
it really shows you like this spectrum where, I mean, I don't know that there's any truly evil people or truly good people.
Right. Exactly. I think we have like 20 minutes left. 20 minutes, 19 minutes, and 6 seconds left, so we will be back soon. Boop. Boop. Maeve is just one of the fucking hottest characters ever. Now, from the perspective of a high school kid.
Right.
40-year-old me is not going to go hit on 16-year-old Maeve.
No.
That's gross.
That's gross.
But like, that final scene with the conversation between Otis and Maeve, when Maeve walks away to give Otis that feeling of a hurry is needed to make a decision without really thinking it through on
Right.
purpose, totally.
Oh yeah.
And then hearing him call for her and her having that, like, I won look, and just turning around and looking at him. When she turned around and looked at him, that still frame of that is one of the fucking hottest looks of any people ever.
So aside from that, a lot happened.
Yeah, sorry, I got a little distracted.
No,
Anyway.
no. It was a reasonable distraction. um. So yeah. So Adam took some Viagra, then got really freaked out because he
Had a very massive erection that was painful, probably.
Yeah, probably very painful. And Maeve and Otis walked in on, like, overheard him. Oh, because he had spread a video around the school of Otis's mother doing a sex
Like a demonstration.
demonstration
with
video
vegetables.
with vegetables about, basically giving somebody a hand job.
And I'll be honest, the first time I saw it, and even this time, it doesn't look like Jean. The hair color is very different, and she looks younger enough that it doesn't actually look like Jean to me. And so I was confused at first until Maeve was like, was that really your mom? And then I understood.
I mean, it looked like her to me,
That's
but
fine.
Whatever.
Yeah.
The point was still that, like, it was to get under his skin, and it was abusive bullying.
Yeah, it was definitely an embarrassing thing that
So, like,
really affected Otis
immediately
deeply.
following that, to have Adam in that vulnerable position where he was freaking out about this massive, painful erection, they were kind of the tables were turned.
Yeah, and Adam had a moment of vulnerability in there where they discovered him in pain, and then everyone screamed because they all saw each other, and then he was like, get out, and then he's like, wait, help me.
And then
And
he opened up
asked for
about
help.
himself, about
Yeah.
his life a little bit, and then Otis gave him some therapeutic advice, the kind of stuff that his mom, kind of raised him with.
Right, and relatively decent life advice to begin with. Own your narrative, which was what the general advice was. Understand that there's certain circumstances that you don't have the ability to change, and do your best to own those circumstances and make them your own to the best of your ability.
Right.
It's great advice.
And then, the erection started going down. And then we cut to later, and Adam decides that to own his narrative, he's going to flash the whole fucking school.
Yeah, he stands on a table at lunch and says, I am Adam Graff. I'm the headmaster's son, which is weird because I'm pretty shit at school, and this is my dick. And yes, there are legal ramifications for exposing your genitalia to people, but I was proud of Adam.
I mean, in a way, it is empowering to be able to do that. I think we should destigmatize nudity in general. Like, when women flash their tits, like, that's not an offense you tend to go to jail for.
No, and you shouldn't be punished for any sort of flashing of people.
However,
except for, like,
it
kids.
was inappropriate to do that.
And it's also underage kids. Like, it's
well,
definitely...
he was too.
Yeah, I know. So it's not it's a bad all around in a lot of regards. I'm not definitely not going to be promoting that sort of activity or behavior, but I will admit that I was proud of the character.
I was proud of him for being able to own the narrative. It's just the method by which he owned his narrative maybe was poorly thought out.
Right. He could have stood up and said, I have a large penis and it is difficult and
right. He
whatever.
didn't have to flash.
And he didn't have
everybody.
to actually show everybody his penis.
He could just have been like, yes, I have a big penis.
Right.
And leave it at
Actually,
that.
I Googled it and it's only a little above average.
Which is demonstrably false, but that's fine. Whatever. Anyway. And then we later cut to him having sex with his girlfriend again.
Amy. Her name is Amy.
And he has an orgasm.
Yeah.
And then she breaks up with him because of course she does, because he just flashed the entire school.
Oh my god. Fucking okay, so Amy is part of the group that Anwar, the other openly gay person, openly gay male in this class is in the cliquey
Yeah, they're the
popular
popular. They
kids,
call them the Untouchables.
the Untouchables, the really hot and rich ones or whatever.
Right.
And like it's Amy and it's Anwar and it's this really severe, dark haired chick that I don't know the name of, and then like I think an African American chick that's like pretty, pretty.
Is she
She's
African American?
she's
I
the one
thought
that
she was
slapped the
Indian.
hand. Maybe she was. Yeah, maybe she was.
Or she could even be like Fijian or something.
Yeah, I can't. I don't remember what she looks like at all.
I
to be
can't
completely
really
honest.
I
Ethnic of some
can't
variety.
tell what her ethnicity is, but it's
It
not
doesn't
white,
matter, really. Yeah.
and that's kind of the point.
Anwar's not white.
Anwar's not white either,
and I'll be honest.
but he's also gay.
The
so.
severe one kind of looks Italian to me, but you know, that's probably racist. I don't know. Anyway, the point is that that foursome is like some of the most toxic people of all time.
Oh my goodness.
They're just like slapping shit out of Amy's hands all the time because no, it's
and putting
vegan.
her down for everything that she says. Poor Amy. You can tell that Amy has very low self-esteem, and she's not quite that bright.
And she's working really. No, she is not that bright.
But
She's working
has
really
a heart
hard.
Of gold, man.
She's working really hard to be a part of that group, and that group is the reason why she decides to break up with Adam. Clearly.
And honestly, like I didn't mention this before, but earlier in the show, she was in Adam's room and then just stormed out, getting him in worse trouble when he had come home and he was past curfew.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like abusive self-defense kind of action there. That was a bit shit of Amy to do.
It wasn't cool to do, but like, yeah.
But I mean, if when you really like pick apart Amy as a character, it was like, well, she's just a chronic victim right now. Like,
yeah.
She doesn't know how to be in control of her own life. Her friends control her life.
And she's still moderately cool because like we saw a scene of her sitting down with Maeve and just like fucking talking and just talking like friends.
Right.
Openly being vulnerable with each other and just talking.
Right.
And
so she's obviously got potential, but she's
putting her energy into a lot of places that do not have anything to do with her.
It reminds me of the memories I have of like just typical teenage high school years.
Trying to fit in.
But later on, Adam basically blames Otis for his actions of flashing the whole school and the consequences that came of that, because the cops got called, and then he's got detention for the rest of the year.
And you can tell that his dad is not even fucking paying it, like not even trying to figure it out, to understand, to get him to follow rules. He's just fucking done.
Yeah, but he's also protecting him from the actual consequences.
Yeah, I don't know why he stepped in and was like, they wanted to charge you with indecent exposure.
Like, why didn't they?
If I hadn't stepped in for you, it's like, don't.
Yeah, that's part of the fucking problem.
Yep. Exactly.
People need to have consequences for their actions. They need to understand that these things are legally wrong. It's not just the parent doesn't like it when you do this kind of thing. There are legal ramifications.
Yeah.
And kids need to know, like, if you haven't somehow, for whatever reason, haven't been able to teach them, that this is right and this is wrong, and it comes to a point where it's a legal thing, the law is there to do that. That is their job, to enforce the agreed upon morality that humans have elected as being what the laws should be and how everybody should and shouldn't act in public to each other.
Right, exactly. But this dude, the fucking headmaster, is just the worst. He's got no emotional he's got no emotional intelligence at all. He's like a fucking child, because like he blames, you could tell in his face and in his voice when he was saying to his son that, I had to step in to keep you from being charged with that crime.
Right, you should appreciate me.
He's blaming his son for his actions. He is basically saying that it is his son's fault that he took that action when he made the choice himself.
Right.
He's victimizing himself against his son to be able to justify his own abuse.
That's a good point. Saying I had to blah 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 blah. That is a covert way of blaming somebody else for your choice. You chose to do that. You didn't have to do that.
Exactly. It's very important, but not a lot of people see it sometimes, so I just want to bring it up. I think that covers most of the first episode.
Well, I mean, then there was at the end the whole like Maeve is now going to try to capitalize on Otis's skills. Not really skills, but just life lessons that he's picked up from his mom.
Yeah, you can tell that Maeve is
But
now...
that's the whole point of the show. Like,
right.
We'll
Maeve
get into
is...
that in subsequent episodes.
Right. Maeve has now found a marketable skill that she can exploit.
Yeah.
Because she can tell that Otis is at least awkward or nervous around her.
Right.
And that she can capitalize on that.
And that he has some skill.
And Maeve has the absolute best color of eyes ever. I'm a simp. I'm just a simp. Just ignore me.
You just appreciate beauty.
I appreciate beauty in a lot of forms.
But you try to do so very respectfully.
I try to. I do try.
You do try. Yeah, I think that's about it. So, yeah.
Well, let's do a little bit of an outro then. I know our season 2 has had a lot less of our like interaction with the people listening, and I just wanted to let y'all know that are still listening, I mean, we are an hour deep into this podcast now, and so if you're actually hearing these words, I want you personally to know that we really appreciate you hanging out.
Yeah.
You seem to enjoy hearing what we have to say about various things, and I really appreciate that. I think it's super cool. So, thanks.
And I'll also put a link to... so I'm going to put a link to the Discord in case anybody wants to listen to this when it's being recorded live. But I'll also put a link to the article that I'm putting it's the article for season 2.
Right.
So all of the episodes for season 2, I'm putting them on a playlist, and that playlist is on the article, and it updates as I put the things on the playlist. So that way, if you wanted to comment, you can go back to that same article. It's, I don't want to have to have an individual article for every single episode in every single season.
Right, and that's the way that we did have the audience interaction for a while.
Right, it was.
And neither of us really have the spoons to write an article every week about this, to be able to garner that sort of individual interaction like that. And so you're welcome to try and interact with us. If you could find it, you're welcome to. We're happy to have you, but it's not super necessary right now.
Right.
We'll get back to it at some point, maybe. It just depends on where we go.
I think I do, I'll have to check, but I think I did still do individual articles on my Patreon, and those articles are free. I don't put them behind a paywall or anything. So if you wanted to get individual notifications for each episode as they come out through Patreon, you could do that as well.
Yeah.
But I think I posted on Twitter, and I definitely also post every single individual one on Mastodon as a little link of hey, this happened. So
understood. Cool. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Anything else you want to say?
No.
Then I think I'm eternally mortal, and I hope you find smiles this day.
And I am the Accidental Monster. You can find us both on medium.com, and follow yourself always.
Boop.